Good morning. I'm Harper Feist. I bet you knew that. I'm here to welcome you to our class, our adventure, our experiment entitled Scrying, a workshop on esoteric awareness. And of course, you know, because you signed up for it, that it's presented by the Blackthorne School. So grateful, Kalan, to you for letting me do this work. And also, so grateful to all of you participants for being here with me. This class is much more about you than it is about me. I hope to be able to convince you of that here in the next couple minutes. So about the class, as you know, we're going to have 6 or 7 or however many sessions devoted to various aspects of scrying. Hopefully, we'll have a large number of interactions on the Facebook group. We'll have a lot of exercises that I hope you'll participate in. Some of them will be challenging, some of them won't be. Whether it's challenging or not will depend an awful lot on you individually. Feel free. I encourage you to hang out in the Facebook group. I anticipate this work is going to be burly for some people and disturbing, and we need to take care of one another. Also feel free to PM me with whatever you've got going on, of course. So a couple of notes. Scrying, as you're probably aware, is historically about a visual phenomenon. I am going to give you a terrible spoiler and tell you that I think treating scrying as specifically a visual thing is really shortchanging the whole process. By virtue of our incarnation, we have lots of senses, some that are kind of ordinarily recognized and some that are not, that we'll talk about more in future classes. And I want to say, you know, the first class was, until a moment ago, specifically geared to address that, the issue of scrying being a visual party, let's call it. I changed my mind. I was going to tell you sort of the historical background of that statement, but I changed my mind. Scrying is at least partially about being responsive to the things that are present in the moment, however you set them up. And I'm going to hold off on the historical stuff for next time. Maybe that adds sessions to the class. I don't know. I hope you're fine with that. For the moment, let's just call it esoteric awareness and not call it scrying and not think about it in visual terms. Now, why? So I'm not going to talk about the historical stuff this time because of the unprecedented circumstances in which we find ourselves. So I know I'm speaking for all of us when I say I've been working from home since the second week of March. I'm a scientist. I have no access to labs. I have no access to my colleagues. I have no access to instrumentation. Things are weird. Yesterday, I participated in a high school graduation in front of my television set. Pretty weird. Now, I also live in Minneapolis, which means that right now, curfew has just been lifted for today. The National Guard is downtown. We spent all last night smelling burning things and essentially being afraid for our safety. 2 of the people in this class actually live in South Minneapolis and have been really afraid for their physical safety to the point where they were hosing down their houses, finding people to spend the night with them, that sort of thing. I know also that there are people, there's a person in the class who is nursing his father as his father exits this plane. We are all in profoundly liminal places right now. So there's the external reality, which we can't avoid, and then there are the internal realities that are related to that. Is sort of the nature of liminal places that we feel stuck in them when we're there. So we should acknowledge that. And the reason that I got rid of the history lesson for today is that this is special and we should use it. I feel porous and open and impressionable and strange and other, and that's a perfect place to start scrying, I would say. So let's talk about the technology just for a minute. I hope you guys have a journal that you'll devote to this practice. It's going to change you. Whether it changes you a lot or a little is up to you. The practice that you end up with is not going to look like mine. It's going to be yours exclusively. And I hope to hear a little bit about that as it happens. So you'll have dreams, journal those. Talk a lot in Facebook about your experiences, like I said. So instead of a lecture, I'm going to give you an assignment. To create some context for this assignment, I'd like to say that we're going to be moving to some really strange places in our heads, but let's start in a familiar one, using, of course, the filter of esotericism, because that's what we do as magicians and sorcerers and witches. Ordinary reality becomes something different to us. So I will say, for this moment, that we're going to sit with the uncertainty of now. I urge you first to call upon whatever helper spirits that you have relationship with to start this, and then focus yourself, however you do that. So some of us meditate, and some of us do breathing, and some of us pray, some of us light candles, some of us burn incense. Pull out all the stops, because what you're about to do might be kind of hard. So create ritual space, sacred space, make yourself safe, and then watch the news and go onto social media. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to find an unfamiliar voice, and I want you to follow it. And here's the hard part. Try not to judge it. But some things that you read out there, a lot of it actually is super hard. So take it in little bites. Follow that voice, though, and simply report on it. If you're feeling particularly gutsy, pick something that you really disagree with and follow it. And don't try to understand right now. That comes later. Historically speaking, what happens in a scrying session may look like an interaction with a spirit that could be really uncomfortable for everyone, and then people kind of work out the meaning later. So use that as a paradigm for now. Only listen. I'm going to say that a lot of times, so hear it. Only listen, and we'll deal with meaning later. And remember, while you're doing this with a light heart, that almost all conjurations and ceremonial magic include the request that the spirit arrive in a comely form. You know, in other words, don't scare our pants off right away. Recall that as you perform this exercise. I'll have another exercise for you midweek, and then we'll dive into the historical part of this really soon. But for right now, use what you have. Use these really uncomfortable circumstances in which you find yourself to do something. And report in always. Okay? That's it for now. Things are going to get crazy. Have a great week, or however long it is until I get this next video out. Okay?